Shalom, giving all praise to Yahweh Shem Shai Bashem Rakakudah. Shalom to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect out there. Shalom to you all. Anyway, I'm going to entitle this video, I don't know how long this is going to be. I'm going to entitle this video, A History of World Calendars. And when I say world calendars, I'm talking about the Egyptian calendar, the Julian calendar, and the Gregorian calendar, and I'm going to go into the calendar that we use, which is based upon the moon cycle. So you don't need a like a booklet that you put a thumbtack on the wall and you flip the pages back for each month. Although you can make a calendar like that, like you have a lunar calendar, all right? But anyway, I'm going to show you that you have, I did a video yesterday. Let me see, give me a second. Okay, this video right here was put up yesterday. It says, Brother in barbershop corrects men of the IUIC concerning the Hebrew calendar. It was right about here that the guy's going back and forth with the brother from the IUIC about the calendar, and he's saying, well, before this, I did another video with it, where the one brother says, what's the seventh day of the week? The younger brother, the dark-skinned brother. That's a video that I did maybe a day before. So he said, what's the first day of the week? So this individual right here, he said Sunday. So the brother said, well, I go to church on Saturdays. And right away, I said, well, he's probably a Seventh-day Adventist. Because the Seventh-day Adventists, they don't believe in Sunday being a Sabbath. They believe that Friday sundown to Saturday sundown is a Sabbath, which is based upon the law that was given, the high holy days that was given to Moses, king of Israel. So we come back to this. So I said, let me do another video on this subject. And so the individual stands up, and he said, he goes into the three calendars. He doesn't mention the Egyptian calendar, which, by the way, the Egyptian calendar is based upon, I mean, the Julian calendar is based upon the Egyptian calendar. When you go into the history, I don't know if it's still up there, but years ago I checked it. Julian Caesar, he put out the decree to make a computer. Now, if you go to that history, he spent some time in Egypt. Remember, Egypt, you had Edomites ruling Egypt at that time, but they took the ethnicity, the culture, the religion, or whatever, and they took it upon themselves. That's why you have the first would be Ptolemy Sada, which means savior. Then you had a line of Ptolemies, which is featured in Daniel chapter 11, and they were dressing up like they were actually Egyptian, but they were actually Edomites. Then you had the Arabs that come in, which the Arabs control Egypt today, and you tell them that they're not Egyptians, they're gonna look at you like you're crazy. These Arabs will take you on tours to the pyramids, the Sphinx. It's hard to say for me, but and they'll go into the history and the tombs, and they know that. They'll tell you they know that because these are our foreparents, which they're not. The actual people the original people of Egypt or the Egyptian Empire, the ancient Egyptian Empire, are the people that live south of Egypt, which is Sudan. And Esau came along and caused a split between Sudan, North Sudan and South Sudan. I believe they have control over South Sudan. At one time it was just Sudan. And that goes into divide and conquer with like Korea. Korea was just Korea. It wasn't no North Korea, South Korea. One side was communist, the other side was, you know, democratic, capitalist republic. That was set up by Esau. That's what the Korean conflict was all about. But they couldn't overtake all of Korea, so they took part of it and they split it in half. Anytime you see a South this and a North that, or a split there used to be one kingdom, Esau was involved in it, man. It says in Daniel, it's Daniel 7. It says, and stomp the feet and stomp the residue or something. Matter of fact, let me go to that so I can get it right. Okay, Daniel 7 verse 7. After this I saw in the night vision, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible. It's talking about the Roman Empire, and strong. Even scholars will tell you that. And strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. Now all these nations, when they made their weapons, their swords and so forth, and their armor, they made it from iron. But it was the Roman Empire that used more iron than any other previous empires. If you do the research, they'll tell you that. That's why the scriptures say iron teeth. It says it devoured and break in pieces. What does it mean in devour and break in pieces? Meaning it took over nations and broke them up into provinces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. It was diverse because it was a strange looking beast. It was a strange looking beast, having multiple heads and multiple horns and crowns upon the heads. And when you read down, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn. Now, scholars will tell you that that's Antiochus Epiphanes, which is not true. It's talking about the new Roman Empire, which is the capital would be the U.S., the NATO, Canada, the U.S., NATO, and the EU nations. That makes up the beast. And scholars won't tell you that because they would have to admit that America's part of the beast. Matter of fact, you know what? Let's do this. Let's have a little fun with this. I believe all these scholars will all say that that's the Roman Empire, but they're not going to tell you about the new Roman Empire. Matter of fact, let me do it this way. Bear with me for a minute. Always going to these scholars, these Christian theologians, just to see what they say. Because people will say that, oh, you just made that up. Oh, well, wait a minute, you're Christian. Yes, I'm a Christian. Okay, do you believe in these books that Christian authors write that are scholars? Do you agree with them? Yes, I do. Okay, so you know they say a lot of the same thing that we say. Okay, let me do this. Okay, it's right here. It doesn't say Rome anywhere in the Cambridge, but here in the Benson commentary it says the fourth kingdom can be no other than the Roman Empire. In the pulpit commentary, Josephus and the author of the Apocalypse of Baruch, being among the number, maintained the Roman Empire to be meant. Jamison Fawcett Brown Bible Commentary says, as a lion, bear, and leopard, no particular beast is specified as the image of the fourth. For Rome is so terrible. So they're saying it's Rome. You know what I want to do now? I want to go to the 8th verse. It says, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were three of the first horns plucked up by the roots, and behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things. Okay, another little horn. Another horn, a little horn. Little. Then it goes to Daniel 8, which, nope, that was the Antiochus Epiphanes didn't come out of the Roman Empire. See, they'll say Alexander. No, we're reading about the fourth beast. This comes after the third beast, which is the Greek Empire. So that shows you that they don't know. They mentioned Daniel 11, verse 31 to 33, which describes Antiochus Epiphanes. So I don't got to read. I don't got to read any more of these commentaries because they don't know. Unless they know, but they don't want to tell. Don't tell. Inside joke. So this right here is talking about currently. This prophecy is we're still in this prophecy. Matter of fact, we're coming to this prophecy, this part of the prophecy. But I'm not going to go all into that. It's a whole nother subject. So let me come over here to, okay, here we go. So my topic was on the history of these world calendars, right? To show you that you can't take a calendar and say, okay, I got a calendar. I'm in America. I went to 7-Eleven. I got a calendar. And I look at the calendar, and you got a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay, Sunday is the first day of the week. Okay, this is what the IUIC says. This is what the rest of the Israelites says. This is what the world says. They say Sunday is the first day of the week. The day before that is supposed to be the seventh day of the week. So in that video I said, well, our Lord was crucified and died on a Friday. And it said when they came, the two Marys came to the sepulchre, the stone, the entranceway, were pushed by it. So your angel pushed it open, and the Lord was not there. And the angel told the two women that he rose already. But it said that it was the first day of the week. So according to them, that was Sunday. Do y'all also agree that he died on a Friday? So how in the hell you gonna get three days and 3 nights? And it says after 3 days, but it says 3 days and three nights. How can you get Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? How can you get 3 days out of that? Anybody can chime in. So that proves that the Friday sundown and Saturday sundown is not the Sabbath. But it is the Sabbath based upon when the new moon comes in. So I'm going to show you something. They're going by the Gregorian calendar, which is based upon the Julian calendar, which is based upon the Egyptian calendar. It says in 45 BC, Euryalus Caesar, because there was no J's at that time, ordered a calendar consisting of 12 months based on a solar year. Not a lunar calendar, a solar calendar, which is a calendar based upon the sun. And you have a day called Sunday, solar. This calendar employed a cycle of 3 years of 365 days, which we have 365 days, followed by a year of 366 days. Which, if you have a calendar that's 365 days and it says for 3 years, then the 4th year you have a added day, the calendar is completely, us following the Gregorian calendar is completely out of whack, because when the calendar was changed from the Gregorian, from the Julian to the Gregorian, the calendar was way the hell off. Like I said in the previous video, they had it would be summertime and it would be cold as hell. It would be winter. So the calendar was all out of whack. It says, which is a leap year, when first implemented, the Julian calendar also moved the beginning of the year from March 1 to January 1. So January is the New Year's. Oh, the New Year's. Let's go watch the ball drop. So the current calendar that the world uses is based upon the Gregorian end, but which is based upon the Julian calendar. If you notice, we here at GMS, we keep our Passovers. It always falls on a March, somewhere in the middle of March, and it changes up from year to year because we're following the new moons. The calendar doesn't follow the moon, or the moon doesn't follow the calendar. The calendar follows the moon. Like you have vernal equinox, which they say. Let me go to this. The vernal equinox. Let me get my bearings straight. Okay, so it says Tuesday, March 19th, 2024. And I believe it changes from year to year, but let's say it's always on the 19th. Let me do this. Is the vernal equinox does the vernal equinox change from year to year? Question mark. Okay, it says the Gregorian calendar accounts for this by adding an extra day, the leap day, almost every 4 years, which is based upon the Julian calendar. This means that each March equinox occurs about 6 hours later than the previous year's March equinox. This is why the date of the equinox can change from year to year. And what does an equinox mean? It means equal, meaning equal to the night. Nox meaning night. The day being equal to the night. There comes a time, it comes around March. When you look at the how many hours in the day compared to how many hours of night, it's supposed to be what is it? It's supposed to be 12 hours. It's supposed to be 12 hours of day to 12 hours at night. And that normally comes in at March. And it changes sometimes the 17th, sometimes the 19th. This year's the 19th. That's the beginning of the year. That's the official beginning of the year. So when we keep our Passover, it's going to be off. And I'm going to throw this out to Apostle Rhyme Lob and the brother that he did, the elder brother, the young up and coming brother that does the calendars. You can put up the calendar on YouTube. You can put it up. I'll make a copy of it and I'll put it on my page because people have been asking me when does the Passover come in. Now I have my phone But when they ask me, my phone is never in front of me. I got everything on my phone, the whole calendar on my phone. So I can't tell you offhand the exact day. I leave that up to Apostle Ramlab. He deals with that. He's appointed to put the calendar together. But so put if you're watching this video, put up the video as to when the Passover comes in. Of course the new moons as well. So when you do this kind of research, you realize that wait a minute, the Sabbath can't be Friday sundown to Saturday sundown because everything's all out of whack. Unless you had a continuous calendar that dealt with the new moon. I mean, the calendars from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar, which the Gregorian calendar the world still goes by. We can't even say officially this is supposed to be 2024. If you base it upon the Hebrew calendar, we might be in the year 1999. I did that years ago to find out when you subtract the years. So really, this is 2024 Gregorian calendar, but it's not actually 2024 when you go by the Lord being born. So, when you say Friday sundown to Saturday sundown, you're really being lazy. You're not researching. Because it doesn't make any kind of sense for you to open up the Gregorian calendar that you get at the 7-Eleven. Oh, that's Friday. When the sun go down, that's the Sabbath. Remember, Jesus rose on the seventh day, or even before the seventh day, because when they came in the first day, it said he was already risen. So did he rise on the so-called Saturday? So, like I said, if that's the case, if he rose Saturday before the Sunday came in, then he was crucified on a Friday. He died on a Friday. So that only means he stayed in the tomb for one day. That's how you guys got to teach it. All you Hebrew Israelite groups. Now Sakari teaches it the same way we teach it. The based upon the new moon. Where you think they got it from? They got it from us. They got the name Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, the Hebrew. Their names in the Hebrew. They got it from us. So they didn't get it from the IUIC because the IUIC was not teaching the Hebrew. But they bigging up the IUIC, and the IUIC constantly go off. And if you bigging them up so much and you love them, the scriptures say this: open rebuke is better than secret love. You should tell them, you guys are going on this off on the Sabbath. The mark of the beast, and many other topics. And y'all got it from. Well, wait a minute. Y'all learned from the seven. The seven was following the small hats, so they were going off too on certain things. So let's come on back. Okay. Okay, history of the Julian calendar. I read some of it. You can kind of even go further into it. Okay, let me go to Wikipedia. So what you guys are going by is a reformed Julian calendar. Pope Gregory just reformed it, changed it up. Let me see something. I'm not going to read this whole thing. Let me put this in. Okay, I don't want to read all this stuff. It says context of the reform. Because they all had calendars. They all had call-ins. Likewise, in the Egyptian calendar, a fixed year of 365. The Gregorian calendar is not. Do they not have 365? Do they not have a leap year? Was in use, uh, drifting by one day against the sun in 4 years. So you know that you got to throw that calendar out. An unsuccessful attempt to add an extra day every fourth year was made in 238 BC. Decree of Canopus. The decree of Canopus is a trilingual inscription in 3 scripts. Yeah, trilingual, 3 scripts, like the Rosetta Stone. That's how they would. Them Edomites were those archaeologists were able to decipher the ancient Egyptian because of the Rosetta Stone was a key stone that they found, written in hieroglyphs, translated into Demontic, if I'm saying that right, and also in the Greek. So if you understood Greek, you can decipher the Egyptian hieroglyphs. Which you got Jake, they putting up blackboards, and this is Seth, and this is y'all got that. If it wasn't for the white man doing that, you wouldn't have shit. It says trilingual inscription in 3 scripts, which dates from the Ptolemaic period. Those were Edomites. The Edomites came in. The Ptolemaic period of ancient Egypt. This was around 300-ish BC. It was written in 3 writing system. Now the Rosetta Stone, the Greek, where did the Greek part of the Rosetta Stone come from? It came from Ptolemy, because he was Greek. He was an Edomite. Egyptian hieroglyphs, Demontic, which I said, Egyptian hieroglyphs. Now, Demontic was the commoner's language for the Egyptians, and Koine Greek. Look up the Rosetta Stone. On several ancient Egyptian memorial stones, or steles, which means stones, right? I don't even know if Rosetta is. I'm not going to look for it though. So that was 238 BC. That's when the Greeks were in power. Caesar probably experienced this wandering or vague calendar in that country, which is Egypt. And by the way, he was dealing with the Ptolemies. He wasn't dealing with the ancient black Egyptians. He landed in the Nile Delta in October 48 BC. That was the time, 48 BC, that was the time when Julius was living on the earth. And soon became embroiled in the Ptolemaic dynasty war, especially after Cleopatra managed to, when she was an Edomite, be introduced to him in Alexandria. So the focus at that time was Egypt. That was a great power. And Egypt and Rome was coming into power. Caesar imposed a peace, and a banquet was held to celebrate the event. I'm trying to go right to the, I don't want to read all this. Feast. Right, and if you have a feast, you got to have a calendar to have feasts. Stating this intention to create a calendar more perfect than that of Exodus. Exodus was probably credited with having, that's an individual's name, having determined the length, the length, these letters look like they're moving on me. The length of the year to be 365 and a quarter days, but the war soon resumed, and Caesar was attacked by the Egyptian army, which were Edomites, Ptolemy's army, which you had probably actual Egyptians, Hamite fighting in it too, for several months until the achieved victory. He then enjoyed a long cruise on the Nile. So remember, at this time, Caesar was trying to get the information to put the Julian calendar together, which is based upon the Egyptian calendar. With Cleopatra before leaving the country in June 47 BC, Caesar returned to Rome 46 BC, and according to Plutarch, called in the best what? Philosophers and mathematicians of his time to solve the problem of the calendar. So they said, we're going to make a calendar. The Egyptians do it, the other nations do it. We're going to make our own calendar, which the Gregorian calendar is based upon the Julian calendar. So the current calendar that you Israelites out there use, Friday's coming up. Soon when the sun go down, it's the pattern. No, it's not. No, it's never was like that. If it was, it would have been written in the law. When you go to Leviticus 23rd chapter, everything is based upon the new moon, except the Sabbath. So why didn't the Lord explain, well, the Sabbath is different? When you go to any kingdom, you go to buy a calendar and find out when the 7th day. No. So you guys are clearly going off. See, even Sakari had enough sense to understand that. It says, Pliny says that Caesar was aided in his reform, to reform something, of course, by the astronomer Sosigenes of Alexandria. So he's an Edomite that was living in Greece. Living in Egypt, Alexandria is in Egypt, who is generally considered the principal designer of the reform. The reform what? The reform calendar. Sosigenes may also have been the author of the Astronomical Almanac, which is a calendar published by Caesar to facilitate the reform, to redo the calendar. We're going to do our own calendar. Eventually, it was decided to establish a calendar that would be a combination between the old Roman months, the fixed length of the Egyptian calendar, and the 365 and a quarter days of Greek astronomy. According to Macrobius, Caesar was assisted in this by the ancient Marcus Flavius. So the current calendar that we're using today, which is the Gregorian calendar, which goes, I believe it was the 1500, somewhere in the 1500s. You can look it up. It was completely off. It was based upon a calendar that the Ptolemaic dynasty had that went back to the Egyptians. And by the way, the Egyptian calendar, you had they were closer to the Hebrew calendar than anything. The Egyptian calendar, matter of fact, let me go to that. So the IUIC, for example, and other groups, they're being lazy. If you really sat down and did the research, you wouldn't be following no damn Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. See, we don't tell you things, we show it, we prove it. Prove all things. Okay, let me do this. Let me go to the Egyptian calendar. History of the Egyptian calendar.
According to Britannica, Egyptian calendar, dating system established several thousand years before the Common Era, the first calendar known to use a year of 365 days, approximately equal to the solar year. In addition to this civil calendar, the ancient Egyptians simultaneously maintained a second calendar based upon the phases of the moon.
I didn't know she was going to say that. So the Egyptians had two calendars. Which calendar are you going by? Let me do this. Let me do this. Let me do it this way. I'm sorry. How many days in a week? How many days in the Egyptian calendar? How many months? How many days in a week? I'll put it in the Egyptian calendar. Let's see it that way. Listen up now. 10 days. So you had over 3 weeks. Egyptian calendar, a month consists of 3 weeks. It said the year was divided into 3 seasons. Each season contained 4 months. Each month being 30 days, which they were close to the Hebrew calendar. But in a month of 3, but in a month, there were only 3 weeks. A week consisted of 10 days in the ancient Egyptian calendar. So this is when this guy Julius Caesar had to put his calendar together. It told you his calendar was based upon the ancient Egyptian calendar. Then there was another calendar put together. Then it said that they had two different calendars that they went by. Now let's come over here. History of the Hebrew calendar. The Hebrew calendar is a lunar solar calendar. We say lunar calendar, but it's a lunar solar calendar because you're dealing with the month to month changes with the moon, and day to day is according to the sun. So you can say it's a lunar solar calendar, meaning that months are based on lunar months. You look up in the sky and you see when the moon is invisible, there's like a light crescent. That's when the new moon come in. Don't listen to IUIC about the new moon is a full moon. Ain't no scholars saying that. He's the only guy. That's the only group out there that says that. But years are based on solar years. The calendar years featured. I don't got to read the rest of this. Let me do this. Days of the week on Hebrew or the Hebrew calendar. Right, it says English equivalent. But this is totally off. This is totally off. They put this together. So when you go to the scriptures and it said, and on the first day they went to the tomb to see Yahushua, the stone was pushed out of the way, the angel said he'd risen. That was the first. It doesn't necessarily mean it was on a Sunday, a sunset Saturday. Anyway, with that I'm gonna say shalom.